Close your eyes for a little while, and allow the noise of the present day to drift farther away with every slow breath. There is no hurry here. There is nowhere you need to be except this quiet place where the ancient world waits without asking anything from you. The air is warm, the night is gentle, and far beyond the reach of modern sounds, a small home of mud brick stands beneath a sky filled with patient stars. The desert is never completely silent. Even in the deepest hours of night, the wind continues its slow journey across the open land. It slides over smooth dunes that have rested in the same places for longer than anyone can remember. It brushes against dry grass that bends without complaint. It moves around lonely rocks, between clusters of date palms, and across fields where tomorrow's work is already quietly waiting. Tonight, that gentle wind reaches a small Egyptian home standing not far from the life-giving waters of the Nile. The house is simple. Its walls are made from bricks shaped by careful hands. Mud from the riverbank was mixed with straw many seasons ago. Families pressed the mixture into wooden molds, left the bricks beneath the hot sun, then stacked them one upon another until strong walls slowly appeared. Nothing about the house is grand. It does not belong to a wealthy official or an important priest. It belongs to ordinary people whose names have almost disappeared beneath thousands of years of passing time. Their lives were filled with work rather than fame, routine rather than celebration. Yet within these quiet walls, the rhythms of ancient Egypt continue as steadily as the river itself. The wind touches one side of the house first. It finds tiny cracks between the sun-dried bricks. It slips through narrow openings near the roof where warm air slowly escapes. It carries the faint smell of dry earth mixed with distant water. Sand moves softly across the ground outside, making a quiet whisper that rises and falls without ever becoming loud. Inside, everyone is asleep. Or almost everyone. An older woman rests upon a woven reed mat spread across the floor. Her breathing is slow and steady after another long day of grinding grain, kneading dough, carrying water, and tending the small fire used for cooking. Her hands, rough from years of work, rest quietly beside her. Near her sleeps a young boy who spent the afternoon chasing ducks away from the family's tiny vegetable patch. His dreams are peaceful. One hand still holds the corner of a folded linen cloth as though he never quite realized he had fallen asleep. In another corner, a man lies on a simple sleeping mat stuffed with dried reeds. His shoulders still ache from lifting heavy baskets of harvested grain beneath the afternoon sun. Tomorrow those muscles will ache again, just as they did yesterday, and the day before that. Outside, the desert wind continues its endless conversation with the walls. Sometimes it arrives as nothing more than a gentle sigh. Sometimes it grows slightly stronger, pushing loose grains of sand against the doorway. Then it softens once more. No one wakes. They have heard this wind every night of their lives. Far above the house, the stars seem brighter than anyone living today could easily imagine. There are no lamps burning across distant cities. No roads glow through the darkness. Only small household fires, scattered villages, and the steady moonlight share the task of lighting the land. The moon hangs quietly above the Nile. Its reflection trembles gently upon the slow-moving water. The river never truly sleeps either. It continues its patient journey northward, carrying cool water through a country where nearly everything depends upon its faithful arrival. Along its banks grow fields of barley, wheat, onions, beans, and flax. Without the river, there would be only endless dry earth stretching toward the horizon. The people sleeping inside this little home understand that better than anyone. Their lives follow the river's quiet rhythm. When the flood arrives, they welcome it. When the waters slowly fall, they prepare the fields. When crops begin to grow, they watch the sky, the soil, and the changing seasons with careful eyes. Their calendars live inside nature itself. Tonight, however, work has finally paused. The day's dust has settled. Even the village dogs have curled into sleep. Only the wind keeps moving. It travels past neighboring houses built much like this one. Some are slightly larger. Others are even smaller. Every roof is flat. Every wall carries the color of sun-baked earth. Here and there stand jars for storing grain, baskets covered with woven lids, and simple wooden stools left outside after the evening meal. The streets between the homes are little more than packed earth. During daylight they fill with footsteps. Children run from one doorway to another. Women carry baskets balanced carefully upon their heads. Men guide donkeys loaded with sacks of grain or bundles of reeds. Merchants pass through carrying goods from nearby villages. Scribes occasionally appear holding wooden writing boards beneath one arm. But now, nothing moves except drifting sand. A small oil lamp still glows inside one distant house. Perhaps someone has awakened to comfort a restless child. Perhaps an elderly grandfather has risen for a drink of cool water stored inside a clay jar. Perhaps someone simply listens, as you are listening now, to the quiet wind outside. The air inside the sleeping home remains pleasantly warm. The thick mud brick walls have spent the entire day absorbing heat from the relentless Egyptian sun. Now, little by little, that warmth slowly leaves the walls, making the night comfortable even as the desert cools outside. The builders who shaped these homes understood such things without needing books full of explanations. Generations had taught them. The earth itself became shelter. Clay became walls. Reeds became roofs. Palm wood became beams. Everything came from the land. Everything returned to it in time. Near the doorway rests a large clay jar filled with Nile water collected earlier in the day. Its thick walls help keep the water surprisingly cool. Beside it sits another vessel containing grain carefully protected from insects and moisture. Nothing here is wasted. Every handful of grain represents hours of labor beneath the sun. Every loaf of bread begins long before flour ever reaches a baking stone. First comes planting. Then waiting. Then careful tending. Then harvesting. Then threshing. Then grinding. Only afterward does bread finally appear upon the family table. Such patient work fills nearly every season. The wind outside seems to understand patience. It has crossed these lands since long before the first villages appeared beside the Nile. It has watched kingdoms rise without excitement. It has watched old buildings slowly return to sand. It carries no opinions. Only movement. Only quiet. A tiny insect lands briefly upon the outer wall before disappearing again into the darkness. Somewhere nearby, a night bird calls only once. Its voice fades almost immediately, leaving silence to gently settle once more over the village. Inside the house, the youngest child shifts slightly beneath a folded linen cloth. His mother opens her eyes for only a moment. Without speaking, she reaches across the sleeping mat and gently adjusts the cloth around his shoulders. She closes her eyes again. The movement lasts only a few seconds. Soon her breathing becomes slow once more. Outside, the stars continue their silent journey across the heavens. Ancient Egyptians often looked upward with deep respect. The sky carried stories. The stars helped mark seasons. Night itself offered a welcome pause after exhausting days of physical work. For laborers, darkness brought relief. The sun could no longer press heavily upon tired backs. Feet no longer crossed burning ground. Hands finally rested. Many workers fell asleep almost as soon as evening meals ended. Their bodies needed little encouragement. A full day shaping stone, harvesting grain, rowing fishing boats, weaving linen, carrying water, or mixing clay left little strength for staying awake. The family inside this home understands that feeling well. Earlier today, before sunrise, they had already begun moving. Morning comes quickly in Egypt. The first light reaches the eastern horizon while cool air still lingers. Birds begin calling from the river reeds. Donkeys shake themselves awake. Village fires slowly return to life. Bread ovens grow warm. Grinding stones begin their familiar turning. Every household joins the rhythm. No one needs a bell. The morning itself becomes the signal. The father of this household had eaten a simple meal before leaving. Bread. Perhaps onions. Maybe a few dates if they remained from the previous market day. Enough to begin several hours of work. He walked dusty roads already marked by countless footprints. Around him traveled neighbors carrying wooden tools upon their shoulders. Some headed toward fields. Others toward workshops. Some walked all the way to larger construction sites where skilled and unskilled workers labored side by side. Each person carried quiet expectations for the day ahead. Not dreams of glory. Simply work. Simply another sunrise. The mother remained behind with younger children. Water needed carrying. Flour needed grinding. Bread needed preparing. Clothing required washing beside the river. The house itself needed sweeping because desert dust always found its way indoors. It arrived beneath doors. It floated through windows. It settled gently upon every surface. No matter how often people cleaned, the desert always returned. Yet nobody seemed angry with it. Dust simply belonged here. Like sunlight. Like wind. Like the Nile. Evening eventually arrived just as it always does. Families slowly returned home. Some carried fish. Others carried vegetables purchased from neighbors. A few brought nothing more than tired bodies and grateful hearts for reaching another peaceful night. Now all those moments have quietly settled into sleep. Only memories remain awake. The wind touches the roof once again. The roof is flat, covered with packed earth supported by wooden beams and layers of reeds. During cooler evenings, some families choose to sleep upon rooftops where fresh air moves freely beneath the stars. Tonight this family remains inside. Perhaps the breeze carries slightly more sand than usual. Perhaps younger children feel safer indoors. Perhaps everyone is simply too tired to climb the short stair leading upward. The house accepts their choice without complaint. Time moves differently here. No clock measures these quiet hours. No voice announces midnight. Instead, the moon slowly changes its place. Shadows quietly shift across the courtyard. The wind grows softer. Then stronger. Then soft again. Some distance away, along the riverbank, fishermen rest beside boats pulled safely onto shore. Their nets have been cleaned and folded. Wooden oars lie neatly beside the boats. Tomorrow, long before sunrise, they will push quietly into dark water, hoping for another good catch before the heat grows heavy. Fishing requires patience. The Nile rewards those willing to wait. Even now, fish move beneath the moonlit surface, completely unaware of the sleeping villages nearby. Papyrus reeds sway gently where river and land meet. Frogs occasionally break the silence. Tiny ripples spread outward before disappearing again into smooth water. Everything feels slow. Nothing rushes. The pace of ancient life often followed the limits of human strength. People walked. They carried. They rode. They rested. They slept. Their days expanded and contracted with daylight itself. Perhaps that is why the night feels especially peaceful. It asks nothing except quiet. The wind reaches the house once more, brushing softly against its weathered walls, carrying with it the endless breath of the desert, as another calm hour slips gently across the sleeping land. The quiet hour continues without announcing itself. No one notices the moment when one part of the night becomes another. The stars move so slowly that their journey cannot be seen with ordinary eyes. The moon climbs a little higher above the dark ribbon of the Nile, washing the village in a pale silver light that softens every corner of every home. The desert wind remains a faithful companion. It has wandered across open sand for many miles before arriving here, carrying with it the coolness that follows the long Egyptian evening. It slips gently around low walls, brushes the leaves of date palms, and circles the roofs of mud-brick homes before continuing its endless path toward another quiet village resting beneath the same wide sky. Inside the small house, the family sleeps deeply. The day's work still rests inside their tired muscles. The father turns slowly onto one side. His breathing never changes. Even while asleep, his hands look strong and weathered. The skin across his palms has grown thick after many years of lifting baskets filled with grain, shaping bricks beneath the hot sun, and carrying heavy bundles from one place to another. His life has never been easy. Most people around him could say the same. The land gives generously, but only after much patient labor. Nearby, the older woman remains asleep with her hands folded gently across her chest. Earlier that afternoon, she had sat beside a large grinding stone for hours. One stone rested upon another, and with slow circular movements she crushed grain into fine flour. It was quiet work. Steady work. The stone moved again and again with the same familiar rhythm. Small clouds of flour settled upon her arms. Tiny grains gathered beneath her fingernails. Her shoulders slowly became tired, but she never hurried. Bread depended upon this simple task. Without flour, there would be no dough. Without dough, there would be no fresh loaves warming beside the fire. So she continued, just as women before her had done for countless generations. The grinding stone itself tells a quiet story. Its surface has become smooth from years of faithful use. Every circle carved into the stone marks another meal prepared, another family fed, another ordinary day quietly completed. Objects inside this home are not decorations. Almost everything serves a purpose. A woven basket waits near the wall, holding onions gathered from nearby fields. Another basket contains dried dates, carefully saved for days when fresh food is harder to find. Clay jars stand in neat rows, each holding something valuable. One keeps water cool. Another protects barley. A third holds lentils. Simple wooden bowls rest upside down upon a low shelf to keep dust away. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is excessive. Every possession has earned its place. Outside, the wind carries the faint scent of dry earth mixed with damp river air. The Nile is never far away. Even when hidden by darkness, it quietly reminds the people of its presence. Its water reflects the moon in broken silver lines that gently shimmer with every passing ripple. Farther along the riverbank, tall papyrus plants sway almost silently. Their thin stalks bend together as though sharing quiet conversations only the night can hear. Small insects move among them. Occasionally a fish rises toward the surface before disappearing again beneath the calm water. The river seems awake while nearly everyone else sleeps. Not every household has settled completely. Across the village, a young mother quietly rocks her restless baby. She hums a tune that has no beginning anyone remembers. Perhaps her own mother sang the same gentle melody. Perhaps her grandmother did too. The song is soft enough that it never reaches neighboring houses. It belongs only to this room. Only to this night. Only to these tired arms holding a sleepy child. A few streets away, an elderly man steps outside for a moment. His knees have become stiff with age. Sleep comes and goes more lightly than it once did. He stands beneath the stars, breathing the cool night air. His eyes wander across familiar rooftops. He has watched this village grow through many seasons. Children became adults. Young trees became tall palms. New homes appeared beside old ones. Walls were repaired. Roofs were rebuilt. Life continued, slowly and faithfully. After a few peaceful moments, he returns inside without making a sound. His footsteps leave faint marks in the dust. By tomorrow afternoon, those marks will have disappeared beneath countless others. The wind smooths many things. It softens footprints. It rounds sharp stones. It carries away loose sand only to place it somewhere new. Its work is patient beyond measure. Back inside the sleeping home, the youngest child dreams without knowing it. Perhaps he dreams of helping his father in the fields. Perhaps he imagines rowing a small boat across bright blue water. Children's dreams often borrow pieces from ordinary days. They build quiet adventures from familiar places. There are no grand palaces inside this dream. No distant lands. Only home. Only the river. Only fields stretching beneath warm sunlight. Morning is still many hours away. The cooking fire has burned down to soft glowing embers. Their gentle orange light paints small shapes across the floor before slowly fading. A few pieces of charcoal quietly settle into fine gray ash. The smell of yesterday's bread still lingers faintly inside the room. It mixes with the scent of clay walls, woven reeds, linen cloth, and warm earth. Together they create the smell of home. Every home has its own quiet scent. Visitors might notice it immediately. Those who live there hardly notice it at all. It simply belongs. Just outside the doorway rests a simple broom made from bundled reeds. Tomorrow morning it will sweep away another thin layer of drifting sand. The task never truly ends. Every evening the wind brings more dust. Every morning someone patiently removes it. No one expects perfect cleanliness. The desert always leaves a gentle reminder that it surrounds every village. Near the broom stands a large water jar. Its rounded shape catches a little moonlight. A thin film of cool moisture clings to its outer surface where water slowly evaporates. This simple design helps keep the contents pleasantly cool despite the warm climate. The family values every drop. Water is carried carefully. Stored carefully. Shared carefully. Children learn from an early age not to spill it. Fetching water is not difficult because the Nile flows nearby, but every journey requires time and effort. Clay jars are heavy when full. Shoulders become sore. Hands grow tired. Still, the work is done each day without complaint. Life depends upon such ordinary routines. Far beyond the village, the desert stretches into darkness. Its open spaces seem endless beneath the stars. During daylight, the land glows with golden light. Heat rises from the sand in gentle waves. Travelers wrap linen around their heads to soften the fierce sunlight. Donkeys move patiently along dusty paths. Sandals leave shallow footprints that vanish with the wind. But at night, the desert becomes another world. The heat slowly escapes into the sky. Cool air settles across the open ground. The silence grows deeper. The horizon becomes soft beneath moonlight. Even the tallest dunes appear gentle. Somewhere in that wide darkness, a small fox moves quietly across the sand. Its ears remain alert. Its paws leave delicate tracks. It pauses now and then, listening. Finding food requires careful attention. The fox belongs to the night just as the farmers belong to the morning. Neither disturbs the other. Back near the Nile, tall palm trees stand almost motionless. Their long leaves rustle softly whenever the breeze passes through. Clusters of dates hang high above the ground, waiting for harvest. These trees offer shade during hot afternoons and nourishment throughout the year. Children often gather fallen dates from the ground below. Adults climb carefully when the fruit is ready. Nothing is rushed. Every season arrives in its own time. The village itself seems to breathe. Though silent, it feels alive. Behind every wall rests another family. One household belongs to fishermen. Another to potters. Another to a scribe whose careful handwriting fills rolls of papyrus with records of grain deliveries and harvest accounts. His hands are smoother than those of the builders. His back grows tired from sitting rather than lifting. Yet his days are long as well. Numbers must be correct. Names must be written clearly. Mistakes create confusion. Carefulness becomes its own form of labor. Not far away lives a linen weaver. Her fingers move with remarkable patience from sunrise until late afternoon. Threads cross one another again and again. Slowly, almost magically, cloth begins to appear. The finished linen feels cool against the skin. Families treasure well-made garments because producing them requires many hours of quiet concentration. Nothing in this village appears suddenly. Everything arrives through time. A loaf of bread. A woven basket. A clay pot. A wooden stool. A fishing net. Each object carries hidden hours inside it. Hours of gathering. Hours of shaping. Hours of waiting. Perhaps that is why people care for their belongings so carefully. Replacing them is never simple. The moon now stands almost above the village. Its light enters through a small opening near the roof of the family's home. A pale square appears upon the floor. Slowly it shifts as the night continues. No one notices. Everyone remains asleep. The quiet deepens. Even the insects seem to pause. Only the desert wind continues its endless wandering, brushing softly across the ancient land as another peaceful stretch of night settles over the humble Egyptian home, waiting patiently for the first distant hint of dawn that still lies many calm hours ahead. The night continues to unfold with the same quiet patience it has shown since the sun disappeared beyond the western horizon. No voice announces the passing of another hour. There are no bells, no clocks, and no glowing windows stretching across the landscape. Time is measured instead by the slow turning of the stars, by the changing shape of the moonlight on the ground, and by the gentle cooling of the air that settled over the land after the day's heavy heat. The small house remains still. Its thick mud brick walls hold a comforting warmth gathered from the afternoon sun. They release that warmth little by little, making the inside of the home peaceful and pleasant while the desert outside grows cooler with every passing hour. The desert wind returns once more. It brushes lightly across the flat roof before slipping around the corners of the house. It finds the tiny spaces between wooden beams and woven reeds. It stirs nothing more than a few grains of sand resting near the doorway. The sound is so soft that it almost disappears before it reaches anyone's ears. Inside, the family sleeps without interruption. The youngest child has curled into a smaller shape during the night. His linen covering has slipped to one side again, and one small foot now rests against the cool earthen floor. His mother notices without fully waking. Still lost between sleep and dreams, she gently reaches across the mat and pulls the cloth back over him. Her eyes never fully open. Within moments, her breathing returns to its slow, even rhythm. Such small acts of care happen quietly. No one applauds them. No one writes about them. Yet they have been repeated in homes like this for countless generations. Parents have always listened for the small sounds of sleeping children. They have always adjusted blankets. They have always whispered soft words that disappeared into the darkness before anyone else could hear them. Outside, the village remains wrapped in silence. The narrow paths between the homes look almost silver beneath the moonlight. During the day these same paths are filled with movement. Sandals leave fresh prints in the packed earth. Children race one another around corners. Merchants guide donkeys carrying woven baskets. Neighbors stop to exchange a few quiet words before continuing with their work. Now every path rests peacefully beneath the stars. Only the wind travels them. It moves through the empty lanes as though remembering every journey made during the daylight hours. Near one corner of the village stands a small bread oven built from clay. Its fire has long since gone out. The warmth that filled it earlier in the evening has slowly faded into the cool night air. Only a faint scent remains. It is the gentle smell of baked grain mixed with smoke and warm earth. The scent lingers on the bricks. Tomorrow, before sunrise, someone will kneel beside this oven again. Dry reeds will be gathered. Small pieces of wood will be arranged with practiced hands. A spark will become a flame. The oven will slowly awaken. Dough prepared before dawn will be placed inside. Fresh bread will once again fill the village with its familiar comforting smell. This routine has become so ordinary that few people stop to think about it. Yet every loaf begins long before the fire is lit. Many months earlier, seeds were pressed into moist soil left behind by the Nile flood. The fields were watched with patient eyes. Young shoots appeared. The grain slowly ripened beneath endless blue skies. Harvesters cut each stalk by hand. Bundles were tied together. Grain was separated from straw. The kernels were stored inside large clay jars. Then came the steady turning of grinding stones. Only after all these quiet tasks could flour finally become bread. Every meal carries the memory of many hands. The wind continues toward the edge of the village. There it meets a small enclosure where several goats sleep close together. One animal lifts its head for a moment. Its ears twitch. Hearing nothing unusual, it settles down again. The simple fence around them casts long shadows beneath the moonlight. Nearby, a donkey stands resting with one back leg relaxed. Its work is done for the day. Tomorrow it will carry sacks, bundles, jars, or perhaps people traveling to another settlement along the river. Its life follows familiar paths. The roads it knows are dusty and uneven. They wind between cultivated fields, clusters of palms, and stretches of open desert where only scattered shrubs interrupt the sand. The donkey asks for little. Fresh water. A little food. A chance to rest. The people who care for it understand this well. They know that animals, like people, grow tired after long days beneath the Egyptian sun. Beyond the sleeping village, the Nile moves quietly through the darkness. Its current never hurries. The water glides around small islands covered with reeds. It slips gently past fishing boats pulled onto the shore. It reflects stars that seem almost close enough to touch. The river has traveled a long distance before reaching this place. Far to the south, it has crossed lands that many villagers will never see. Yet every drop eventually arrives here, bringing life to fields that would otherwise remain dry and empty. The people who live beside the Nile understand its generosity. They do not speak of it with excitement. It is simply part of life. Just as breathing is part of life. Just as sleeping is part of life. Without the river, everything would change. With it, another season quietly follows the last. Along the riverbank grows a stand of papyrus. Its tall green stalks sway gently whenever the breeze arrives. During daylight, workers sometimes cut these plants with careful strokes of sharp blades. The stems are carried home. Some become rope. Others become baskets. The soft inner layers may be prepared into sheets for writing. Nothing grows without purpose. Everything the land offers can become useful in patient hands. A little farther downstream, several fishing nets hang stretched between wooden poles. They were washed before sunset. Now they dry beneath the cool night air. Tiny droplets still cling to the woven fibers. Moonlight catches them for a moment before they quietly disappear. The fishermen who own these nets are asleep. They have spent many years learning the moods of the river. They know where fish gather when the water is high. They know where the current becomes gentle. They know how to mend torn nets with steady fingers while sitting beneath the afternoon shade. Experience comes slowly. It cannot be hurried. Each season teaches something new. Each morning upon the river adds another small lesson. Back inside the family's home, the father stirs slightly. Perhaps his dream has carried him into tomorrow's work. Perhaps he walks once more through ripened fields. Perhaps he stands beside fellow laborers lifting baskets onto waiting boats. Dreams often borrow from familiar routines. Even in sleep, the mind returns to places it knows well. His breathing remains calm. The quiet room is filled with nothing more than the soft sounds of sleep. A faint breeze enters through a small opening near the roof. It cools the room just enough to feel pleasant. The woven reed mats beneath the family have become smooth through years of use. Each strand has been bent by countless evenings of rest. Their texture is familiar beneath tired hands and feet. Nothing here is luxurious. Yet everything offers comfort in its own quiet way. Against one wall rests a low wooden chest. Inside are folded linen garments carefully washed beside the river only a few days earlier. The cloth smells faintly of fresh water and sunlight. When garments become worn, they are mended. When sandals begin to split, new straps are added. When baskets weaken, fresh reeds strengthen them again. Repair is simply another part of daily life. Objects are expected to last. People know the value of careful hands. Near the chest hangs a small woven bag containing a few precious items. Perhaps a polished shell collected long ago. Perhaps a smooth stone brought home by a child who found it unusually beautiful beside the river. Perhaps a small carved charm made by a family member. Simple treasures often carry quiet memories. Their worth is measured not in gold but in affection. Outside, the stars seem almost endless. The ancient sky appears larger than the village itself. Without smoke from distant cities or bright lights upon the horizon, every constellation shines clearly. The people sleeping below have looked upon these same stars since childhood. Their parents did the same. Their grandparents did as well. Generations have ended their days beneath this wide and faithful sky. The heavens become another familiar roof above the earth. A light breeze moves through the leaves of nearby date palms. The fronds answer with a soft rustling sound. It resembles quiet whispers exchanged between old friends. The sound rises gently, then fades, then returns again. Nothing interrupts the peaceful rhythm. The night seems content to remain exactly as it is. Far away across the open desert, a faint line of low hills rests beneath the moonlight. Their shapes are softened by distance. During daylight they appear dry and rugged. Now they look gentle, almost dreamlike. The desert changes its character after sunset. The same land that shimmered with heat only hours ago now welcomes cool air and long shadows. Even the sand seems calmer. Tiny ripples formed by the wind catch the moonlight in delicate patterns. No two are exactly alike. By tomorrow afternoon, many of them will have changed again. The wind quietly redraws the landscape each day. Not in great dramatic ways. Only a little here. A little there. Enough to remind the earth that it is always moving, even when it appears still. The family continues sleeping. Their rest is deep because tomorrow asks much of them. Before the first birds begin singing beside the Nile, before the eastern sky begins to pale, before smoke rises from cooking fires across the village, another day of ordinary work will patiently begin. But for now, there is only this peaceful stretch of ancient night. The warm mud brick walls. The cool desert breeze. The slow breathing of a sleeping family. The quiet river flowing beyond the fields. And the endless whisper of the desert wind, passing gently outside an Egyptian home, carrying the calm of countless forgotten nights across the ancient land. The peaceful darkness remains unbroken. The moon has traveled a little farther across the sky, though no one inside the village has watched it move. The journey is too gentle to notice from one moment to the next. Only after many quiet hours would someone realize that the shadows have changed their places, stretching in new directions across the sleeping earth. The wind continues its patient wandering. It arrives softly from the open desert, where countless grains of sand rest beneath the silver light. Each grain has been carried, lifted, and settled again more times than anyone could ever count. The wind knows every hill, every hollow, every lonely stone that rises from the desert floor. It has crossed this landscape for centuries. Long before these homes were built. Long before the oldest palm tree first reached toward the sky. Long before the first child laughed beside the stretch of the Nile. Tonight, it pauses only briefly at the village before continuing on its endless path. The little house stands quietly beneath the stars. Its walls are thick enough to keep the family comfortable through changing temperatures. During the blazing afternoon they shield against the strongest heat. During the cool hours before dawn they gently hold the warmth gathered throughout the day. The builders who shaped these bricks understood the rhythm of their land. They did not fight the climate. They worked with it. They learned from generations before them how to shape homes that welcomed the breeze while offering shelter from the fierce summer sun. Every wall tells that quiet lesson. Inside, the room remains peaceful. The family sleeps upon woven mats arranged close together. Sleeping near one another is natural here. It brings comfort during the night. Parents remain close enough to hear the smallest movement of a child. Children wake knowing familiar voices are only an arm's length away. The room feels safe. Not because it is large. Not because it is richly furnished. Simply because it is home. Near the doorway rests a pair of worn sandals. The leather straps have become smooth from years of use. Their soles carry the dust of many roads. Tomorrow morning those same sandals will step onto cool earth before sunrise. Later they will walk across fields still damp from the night's gentle moisture. By midday they will cross ground warmed by the powerful Egyptian sun. And before evening they will return once more to this quiet doorway. Every day begins and ends in much the same way. There is comfort in such familiar patterns. Against another wall stands a simple wooden stool. One leg is slightly shorter than the others. Whenever someone sits upon it, the stool rocks almost imperceptibly before settling into place. No one considers replacing it. A small piece of folded reed has been tucked beneath the shorter leg. That simple adjustment has solved the problem for many seasons. The people of this home have learned to mend, adjust, and preserve rather than discard. Their world asks for patience more often than perfection. The breeze slips gently through a narrow window opening. It carries the scent of river reeds mixed with dry earth. The smell changes with the seasons. During the annual flood, moisture fills the air. Fresh mud spreads across the fields. The scent becomes rich and earthy. Months later, when the flood waters have withdrawn and crops begin to grow, the breeze carries hints of green plants warmed beneath the morning sun. Later still, after harvest, dry straw and stored grain lend another familiar fragrance to the village. Tonight, the air carries mostly sand and cool river water. It is a quiet combination. One that everyone here has known since childhood. Outside, the narrow lanes remain empty. Moonlight rests gently upon the packed earth. Here and there, tiny footprints remain from children who played before sunset. Their games have ended for the night. Tomorrow they will begin again. Perhaps they will shape little animals from damp clay gathered near the river. Perhaps they will race one another between palm trees. Perhaps they will help their parents with simple tasks before finding another moment for play. Childhood here is woven gently into work. Even small hands learn useful skills. A young girl watches carefully as her mother kneads dough. A young boy follows his father carrying empty baskets before he is old enough to lift full ones. Lessons come naturally. No formal announcement begins them. Children simply watch. Then imitate. Then slowly become capable. Knowledge passes quietly from one generation to the next. The desert wind reaches the edge of the village and crosses a small field where barley grows in neat rows. Even beneath moonlight, the crop seems peaceful. Each stalk bends slightly whenever the breeze passes. Months of careful work stand here waiting for the proper season. Farmers understand that rushing changes nothing. Seeds grow at their own pace. The Nile floods according to its own rhythm. The sun rises whether people are ready or not. Patience becomes one of the most valuable skills a farmer can possess. Many mornings begin before the sky grows bright. Workers leave their homes carrying simple wooden tools. The cool hours before sunrise offer the most comfortable time for labor. As daylight grows stronger, shadows become shorter. The air grows warmer. Sweat gathers beneath linen clothing. The work continues. There are fields to tend, canals to clear, bundles to carry, animals to feed. By afternoon, even experienced workers welcome every patch of shade. A large sycamore fig tree near the edge of the village often becomes such a place. Its broad branches spread wide above the ground. The shade beneath feels cool compared with the surrounding fields. Workers sometimes rest there briefly. They drink water from clay jars. They wipe dust from their faces. They exchange a few quiet words before returning once again to their tasks. No one lingers long. The day still holds much work. Tonight, however, the tree stands alone beneath the moon. Its leaves barely move. Its trunk casts a long shadow across the sleeping ground. A small owl watches silently from one of its branches. Its large eyes remain open while nearly every human nearby sleeps. It listens. The village offers little sound. only the occasional rustle of leaves, the distant whisper of flowing water, the endless conversation between the desert wind and the earth. The owl waits patiently. It understands the quiet hours. Back inside the home, the clay water jar remains cool. The family collected its contents yesterday afternoon. Several trips were required. Water is never taken for granted. Each journey to the river demands time. The jars are heavy. The path home feels longer when carrying them. Still, the task is shared among family members whenever possible. Children often begin by carrying smaller containers. As they grow stronger, larger jars become part of their daily responsibilities. Strength comes gradually. So does confidence. Nothing is hurried. The room smells faintly of baked bread, dried reeds, and smooth clay. These scents have blended together over many years. Visitors would recognize them immediately. The family notices them only when they have been away for some time. Returning home always brings familiar comfort. Even the smallest details matter. The texture of the floor beneath bare feet. The sound of the wooden door closing. The way moonlight enters through the high opening near the roof. These ordinary moments quietly become part of memory. Outside, the Nile continues its endless journey. Along its banks stand boats of different sizes. Some belong to fishermen. Others carry grain between villages. A few transport stone, timber, or pottery needed elsewhere. Most are simple vessels built from local wood. Their builders understand the river well. They know how to shape a hull that rides steadily upon calm water. They know where to strengthen each joint. They know which fibers make the strongest rope. Boat building is another skill passed patiently from parent to child. No written instructions are needed. Hands remember what earlier hands once taught them. Farther downstream, reeds sway gently beside a quiet inlet. A pair of ducks sleep with their heads tucked beneath their wings. They drift almost without movement upon the calm surface. Occasionally a tiny ripple reaches them. They rise gently, then settle once more. The river never seems to hurry them. Everything follows the steady rhythm of the water. In another home nearby, a potter sleeps after a long day's work. His hands shaped many vessels before sunset. The clay responded to gentle pressure from his fingers. One vessel became a storage jar. Another became a bowl. A smaller piece became a cup. Tomorrow those pieces will dry a little more before being fired. Clay rewards patience. Move too quickly, and it collapses. Allow time to guide each step, and it becomes strong enough to serve a family for many years. The potter understands this without needing to explain it. His hands simply know. Across the village, a linen weaver dreams quietly. During daylight she sits before her loom for many hours. Thread crosses thread. Again. And again. The movement becomes almost musical. Steady. Predictable. Peaceful. By evening, a little more cloth has appeared where empty space existed that morning. Small progress is enough. Tomorrow will add a little more. The day after that, another little piece. Eventually an entire garment will emerge from countless patient movements. So much of life here grows through small repetitions. No single action seems remarkable. Yet together they create an entire world. The moon now begins its slow descent toward the western sky. The stars nearest the eastern horizon appear a little brighter as the air grows cooler. The deepest part of the night has almost passed. Still, dawn remains comfortably distant. The family continues sleeping. Their breathing rises and falls together in quiet harmony. Outside, the desert wind gently circles the mudbrick home once more before wandering back toward the open sands, carrying with it the cool breath of the ancient night while the peaceful village rests undisturbed beneath the endless Egyptian sky. The ancient night lingers a little longer. It does not seem eager to leave. The darkness rests gently upon the village like a light linen cloth laid carefully over sleeping shoulders. The stars continue their quiet watch above the Nile, while the moon slowly lowers itself toward the western horizon, moving with a patience that no human life could ever match. The desert wind has become softer now. Earlier in the night it wandered freely across the open sand, carrying with it the faint whisper of distant dunes. Now it seems content simply to drift between the homes, brushing against walls that have stood through many changing seasons. The mud bricks hold the memory of countless days beneath the Egyptian sun. Each summer they grew warm. Each evening they slowly released that warmth into the cool air. Year after year, they protected families from heat, from dust, and from the steady breath of the desert. Many hands shaped these walls. Some hands belonged to fathers. Others belonged to mothers. Older children carried water to mix with clay. Younger ones gathered handfuls of straw. The work was shared. When one family built a home, neighbors often came to help. There was little ceremony. No speeches. Only steady labor beneath a bright sky. Clay was pressed into wooden molds. The bricks rested beneath the sun until they became firm. One by one they were stacked into walls that slowly surrounded a new life. Those who built this particular house probably never imagined that thousands of years later, someone would quietly wonder what an ordinary evening inside it might have felt like. Yet here the house remains, at least in our imagination, resting peacefully beside the river. Inside, nothing has disturbed the family's sleep. The youngest child breathes softly through slightly parted lips. One small hand still rests beneath his cheek. His dreams seem peaceful. Perhaps he is walking beside the Nile with his older brother. Perhaps he is watching bright birds lift themselves from the reeds. Perhaps he simply dreams of warm bread fresh from the morning oven. Children often carry simple joys into their dreams. The older woman stirs only slightly. Her body remembers many years of work. There are quiet aches in her shoulders. A little stiffness in her hands. Tomorrow morning those hands will once again reach for the grinding stone. They have done so for so many years that the movement has become almost effortless, though never easy. The stone itself waits patiently near the wall. Even in the darkness its smooth surface reflects a little moonlight. It has worn down little by little through endless circles. Morning after morning. Season after season. One handful of grain after another. No one remembers when the stone was first carved. It may have belonged to the woman's mother before it belonged to her. One day it may belong to another generation. Useful things often remain in families for many years. They quietly become part of daily life. Outside, the village seems wrapped in complete stillness. A narrow footpath leads toward the river. During daylight it is one of the busiest places in the settlement. Feet travel it from dawn until evening. Women carry jars balanced gracefully upon their heads. Children hurry with smaller containers. Old men walk more slowly, leaning upon smooth wooden staffs polished by years of use. Donkeys pass with baskets hanging from either side. Their steady footsteps leave familiar marks in the dust. Now the same path belongs only to the moonlight. Its pale glow rests gently upon the earth. The footprints made yesterday remain visible. Fresh ones will cover them tomorrow. The village never truly stays the same. Yet it always feels familiar. The desert wind crosses the path without leaving a trace. It reaches the riverbank where tall reeds sway with quiet grace. Their long stems bend together before returning upright once more. The sound they make is almost like someone softly brushing fingers across woven linen. Very gentle. Very slow. Almost too quiet to hear. Beyond the reeds, the Nile continues flowing through the darkness. Its surface appears smooth, though beneath it countless small movements continue unseen. Fish drift through cool water. River plants sway gently below the surface. Tiny creatures follow the current. Everything moves according to rhythms older than memory. The river asks for nothing except time. It has always been patient. The people who live beside it have learned patience as well. A farmer cannot command grain to grow faster. A fisherman cannot force fish into his net. A potter cannot hurry wet clay before it dries. A weaver cannot complete a garment with a single movement. Everything arrives little by little. The ancient world seems to understand this better than most. Farther along the bank, several fishing boats rest quietly where they have been pulled onto shore. They lean gently against wooden posts driven into the earth. Their ropes remain tied with careful knots. The wood carries the scent of water, sunlight, and many years of use. Some places along the edges have become smooth where hands have gripped them thousands of times. The fishermen know every part of these boats. They know which board creaks slightly. Which rope has recently been repaired. Which oar feels lighter than the other. Their boats are companions as much as tools. Tomorrow, before sunrise, they will untie the ropes almost without thinking. The motions have become part of them. Nearby, several clay jars stand beneath a simple shelter made from palm branches. They hold fresh water collected earlier in the day. The clay keeps the water pleasantly cool. Travelers sometimes pause here before continuing along the river road. A drink of cool water is a quiet kindness. No grand reward is expected. Simple generosity helps villages remain strong. The wind wanders farther into the cultivated fields. The soil here feels different beneath the night air. It carries moisture left behind by careful irrigation. Small channels branch away from the Nile, guiding water slowly toward growing crops. These channels require constant attention. Silt gathers. Banks crumble. Weeds appear. Workers spend many hours repairing them. The work is not exciting. It is repetitive. Sometimes muddy. Often tiring. Yet everyone understands its importance. Without these channels, the fields would dry. Without healthy fields, the village would struggle. Quiet labor often supports an entire community without drawing much attention. The breeze brushes across rows of young flax. Their slender stems move together like gentle waves. Months from now they will become something entirely different. Harvested. Soaked. Separated. Combed into soft fibers. Spun into thread. Then woven into linen. A simple garment begins here, beneath the stars, as living plants rooted in dark soil. Transformation comes slowly. No step can be skipped. The moonlight reaches the edge of a nearby workshop. Its doorway remains open to welcome the cool air. Inside rests a carpenter's bench. Wood shavings still cover the floor from yesterday's work. Several unfinished stools lean against one wall. A small wooden chest waits for its lid to be fitted. Simple hand tools lie neatly arranged exactly where they were placed before sunset. The carpenter values order. Finding each tool quickly saves precious time once the day's work begins. His hands understand every mark upon those handles. Years of use have polished the wood until it feels almost silky. Tomorrow the gentle rhythm of carving, smoothing, measuring, and fitting will begin once more. For now, Even the workshop sleeps. Back inside the family home, the cooking hearth has grown completely cold. Only fine gray ash remains where warm flames danced earlier in the evening. Beside the hearth sits a flat baking stone. Its surface carries tiny marks from countless loaves prepared over many years. The smell of bread has faded, replaced by the cool earthy scent of clay walls and woven reeds. The quiet feels complete. The father shifts very slightly during his sleep. His breathing remains deep. Tomorrow he will rise before the sun. He will wash his face with cool water. He will eat a modest meal. Perhaps bread with onions. Perhaps a few figs or dates if any remain. Then he will step into another day shaped by familiar work. He does not think of his life as extraordinary. It is simply the life he knows. Fields. Family. River. Home. Season after season. The stars continue their slow journey overhead. Some are beginning to sink toward the western horizon beside the moon. Others climb higher in the east. The sky itself seems alive with quiet movement. Ancient Egyptians often looked upward with calm attention. The heavens offer gentle guidance through the changing seasons. Farmers watched for familiar patterns. Boatmen learned to travel beneath them. Children listened to stories told beneath the stars while evening air cooled the village. Those stories traveled from one voice to another across generations. Not written. Simply remembered. One evening at a time. One family at a time. The wind grows quieter still. It no longer carries as much sand. Instead, it brings a little more moisture from the river. The air feels softer now. Almost refreshing after the heat stored in the earth throughout the day. Palm leaves answer with a delicate rustling sound. A sleeping bird briefly fluffs its feathers before settling again. Somewhere beyond the fields, a single frog calls from the edge of an irrigation channel. Its voice is low and unhurried. The sound fades almost as quickly as it appeared. Silence returns naturally. Nothing disturbs it. Nothing competes with it. The night continues to cradle the little village with remarkable gentleness. Every home remains peaceful. Every path remains empty. Every workshop waits quietly for morning. And outside the humble Egyptian house, the desert wind slows to little more than a soft whisper, moving through the sleeping land as though it, too, has become drowsy beneath the endless stars above the calm and faithful Nile. The hours before dawn possess a quiet unlike any other. The evening has long since settled into memory, and the morning has not yet begun to stir. Between those two familiar moments lies a stretch of peaceful darkness that seems to belong only to the stars, the river, and the gentle desert wind. The village rests deeply within that calm. Every home appears almost to melt into the earth from which it was built. The mud brick walls carry the same warm brown color as the surrounding soil. In the pale moonlight they seem less like separate buildings and more like small hills shaped by careful human hands. Nothing here asks to be noticed. Everything simply belongs. The wind glides quietly over the flat rooftops. During the hottest weeks of summer, these roofs become gathering places after sunset. Families sometimes carry woven mats upstairs once the evening meal has ended. They sit together beneath the open sky while the day's heat slowly escapes into the night. Children point toward the stars. Older relatives tell gentle stories that have traveled through many generations. Someone peels dates into a shared basket. Someone else pours cool water into simple clay cups. The conversation is never hurried. Long pauses are welcome. The breeze says enough on its own. Tonight, however, the rooftops are empty. The air carries a little more coolness than usual, and most families have chosen the comfort of their homes. Only the moon keeps watch above them. Inside the small house, the room remains filled with soft breathing. The father lies nearest the doorway. Years of early mornings have trained his body to wake before the first light reaches the eastern sky, yet even he remains asleep for now. His hands rest quietly across his chest. The lines upon his palms tell the story of a lifetime spent working with earth, wood, rope, baskets, and stone. Small scars have faded over the years. Some came from rough reeds gathered along the river. Others from lifting heavy bundles or repairing broken tools. He no longer remembers how each one appeared. They have simply become part of him. Near his sleeping mat rests a coiled length of rope. It was carefully wound before sunset. Good rope requires many patient hands to create. Fibers are gathered, twisted together, pulled tightly, smoothed again. The finished rope may seem ordinary, yet it helps carry water, secure boats, lift baskets, guide animals, and fasten bundles for travel. Like so many useful things in this village, it earns little attention despite its quiet importance. Beside the rope stands a woven basket turned upside down. Earlier in the evening it held fresh bread covered with linen to keep away dust. Only a few small crumbs remain now. Tomorrow the basket will once again be filled. Its woven reeds have darkened slightly with age. A few strands have been repaired where years of use caused them to loosen. The repairs are easy to notice if someone looks closely. But no one thinks less of the basket because of them. Careful mending is a sign that something has served well. Outside, the wind drifts toward the edge of the cultivated fields. The earth there feels cooler than the surrounding desert. Moisture from the Nile lingers in the soil long after sunset. The scent rising from the ground is rich and comforting. It is the smell of growing things. The smell of damp earth waiting patiently for another sunrise. Tiny insects move quietly among the plants. A beetle climbs over a clump of soil, disappearing beneath broad leaves. A moth settles briefly upon a stalk before floating away again. Even the smallest creatures follow their own quiet routines beneath the stars. Farther across the field stands a simple irrigation canal. Its water moves almost silently. Someone spent many long hours digging this narrow channel. Others shaped its banks. Still others returned again and again to remove silt carried by the current. Maintaining the canal never truly ends. Each flood changes it a little. Each season asks for another careful repair. The work is slow. Often muddy. Always necessary. Without these channels, the river could not share its gift with the fields beyond its banks. The people understand this well. They rarely speak about it. Some truths become so familiar that they no longer need words. The moonlight reaches the surface of the canal, breaking into gentle silver ribbons that drift slowly with the current. Small frogs rest along the edges. Every so often one slips quietly into the water, leaving only widening circles that soon disappear. The night quickly smooths every ripple. Nothing remains disturbed for long. The desert itself seems to breathe. Warm air rises from the sand in places where the ground still remembers the heat of yesterday. Cooler currents move gently above it. The meeting of these temperatures gives the breeze its quiet life. It wanders wherever the land invites it. Over dunes. Across rocky hills. Between fields. Along riverbanks. Through villages. It belongs to no one. Yet everyone knows its touch. Near the village entrance stands a low stone marker worn smooth by countless years. Travelers recognize it from a distance. It offers no grand decoration. No polished surface. Only simple usefulness. Many sandals have passed beside it. Merchants carrying woven goods. Farmers leading donkeys. Messengers walking swiftly between settlements. Children returning home with bundles of reeds gathered along the river. The stone has witnessed every journey without ever moving. Time has slowly rounded its edges. Rain, though rare, has washed across it. Wind has polished it grain by grain. Its quiet endurance feels almost comforting. Beyond the marker, a dusty road stretches toward another village several hours away. By daylight the road appears ordinary. Its surface is uneven. Small stones press through the packed earth. Occasional footprints mark the softer places. At night it becomes something gentler. Moonlight smooths every rough edge. The path seems to float softly across the landscape before disappearing into the distance. No travelers walk there now. They have all found shelter for the night. The road itself seems asleep. Back inside the house, the older woman sighs gently in her sleep. Her breathing remains calm. Tomorrow she will begin her familiar morning before most of the village has awakened. She will sweep away the thin layer of dust that settled overnight. The broom waiting beside the doorway is made from bundled reeds tied tightly with plant fibers. Its handle has become smooth from years of use. Each morning it whispers softly across the floor. Dust gathers into small piles. The doorway opens. The desert quietly receives it back again. By evening another thin layer will have arrived. The task repeats. Not because yesterday's work failed. Simply because the wind never stops carrying the desert with it. She has never considered this unfair. It is only part of living here. When the floor has been swept, she will fetch water. She knows exactly how the jar feels when empty. Exactly how heavy it becomes when full. She knows where to place her hands. How to balance the weight against her shoulder. How to walk steadily without spilling more than a few precious drops. These movements no longer require thought. They have become as natural as breathing. Nearby, the youngest child shifts once more. A tiny smile briefly crosses his face. Perhaps he dreams of floating papyrus boats in the shallows beside the Nile. Many children make such toys. They gather reeds with careful hands. Tie them together using scraps of fiber. Then kneel along the riverbank watching the little boats drift slowly with the current. Some boats travel only a few steps before tipping gently into the water. Others continue much farther. Children laugh quietly either way. The river welcomes every tiny vessel without judgment. The memory of such afternoons often lingers long after the games have ended. Outside, a pair of palm trees stand close together near the family's home. Their trunks lean ever so slightly toward one another. For years they have shared the same patch of earth. Their roots drink from the same hidden moisture beneath the soil. Their leaves catch the same desert breeze. Clusters of ripe dates hang beneath the fronds, waiting patiently for harvest. When that time comes, experienced climbers will ascend the rough trunks with practiced confidence. The fruit will be gathered carefully into baskets. Some dates will be eaten fresh. Others will be dried for later seasons. Nothing will be wasted. The trees have become trusted neighbors. Generations of children have rested in their shade. Birds have nested among their leaves. Travelers have welcomed the cool patch of shadow they cast during the hottest afternoons. Tonight they stand quietly beneath the moon, saying nothing, asking nothing, simply keeping their silent place beside the sleeping village. The stars overhead remain countless. Some seem brighter than others. A few shimmer gently as cooler air drifts across the sky. Ancient eyes have looked upon this same peaceful display for thousands of nights. Farmers ending long days. boatmen tying their vessels to the shore, potters washing clay from tired hands, weavers stretching aching fingers after hours at the loom, children growing sleepy beside warm cooking fires. All have paused, at one time or another, to lift their gaze toward these same stars. The heavens ask for no explanation. They simply accompany the night. The village remains wrapped in their quiet light. No voices rise from the homes. No footsteps disturb the dusty lanes. Only the slow current of the Nile, the gentle rustling of palm leaves, and the soft whisper of the desert wind continue their timeless conversation outside the humble Egyptian home, carrying another peaceful hour toward the still distant dawn. The night grows even quieter. It seems almost impossible that silence could deepen any further, yet it does. The sounds that remain become softer still, blending together until they form a gentle rhythm that has filled this valley for thousands of years. The slow current of the Nile. The whisper of reeds beside the water. The occasional breath of the desert wind brushing across the sleeping earth. The village rests beneath them all. The moon has begun its slow journey toward the western horizon. Its light is no longer directly overhead. Instead, it stretches across the rooftops at a gentle angle, creating long shadows beside walls, water jars, and clusters of date palms. Nothing appears hurried. Even the shadows seem content to move one small step at a time. Inside the family's home, the air feels slightly cooler than it did earlier in the evening. The thick walls continue releasing the warmth they gathered throughout the day, but little by little that stored heat becomes gentler. The floor beneath the sleeping mats feels pleasantly cool. Many bare feet have crossed this floor over the years. Tiny feet learning to walk. Strong feet returning after long days in the fields. Careful feet carrying water without spilling it. Older feet moving a little more slowly with passing seasons. The smooth surface remembers them all. Near one corner of the room sits a small clay lamp. Its flame disappeared many hours ago. A faint dark mark rises above it where smoke has slowly colored the wall over countless evenings. Each night the lamp offered only a modest circle of light. Just enough to prepare an evening meal. Just enough to mend a torn piece of linen. Just enough to tell a quiet story before sleep arrived. No one expected the lamp to chase away all darkness. It simply offered enough light for the work that remained. The rest belonged to the night. The clay of the lamp was shaped by a village potter not far from here. He gathered fine river mud after the flood waters had withdrawn. He pressed it gently between practiced hands. His fingers formed the shallow bowl almost without thinking. Years of experience had taught them exactly how much pressure to use. Too little, and the walls would become uneven. Too much, and the soft clay might collapse. Patience guided every movement. After shaping came waiting. The lamp dried beneath warm air. Then it rested inside a hot kiln until the clay became strong enough to serve another household. Its journey from riverbank to family home took many quiet days. Now it rests peacefully, waiting for another evening. Outside, the wind moves toward a nearby workshop where reeds are stored beneath a simple shelter. These reeds were cut several days earlier along the edge of the Nile. Bundles lie neatly stacked, their pale golden stems tied with plant fiber. Soon they will become mats. Some will cover floors. Others will line roofs beneath packed earth. A few may be woven into baskets for carrying vegetables, grain, or freshly caught fish. Every reed holds many possibilities. The weaver who will shape them understands their nature well. He knows which stems bend easily. Which ones have become too dry. Which should be placed near the center of a mat for strength. His hands rarely stop to think. Knowledge has settled into them after many years of steady work. Back at the river, the surface remains almost perfectly smooth. The current flows with quiet confidence. It never seems uncertain of where it is going. It simply continues northward, just as it did yesterday and the day before. The moonlight dances gently across small ripples created by fish moving beneath the surface. Sometimes a larger fish breaks the water for only a heartbeat. A tiny circle spreads outward. Then the river becomes calm once more. Along the shore rests a small wooden boat turned upside down. Its owner repaired it only a few days ago. One plank had loosened after many seasons upon the water. Rather than replacing the entire boat, he patiently removed the damaged piece. A new plank was carefully shaped. Wooden pegs held it firmly in place. Plant resin helped seal the tiny gaps. Now the boat waits quietly for another morning. Its work is not finished. Neither is the work of the man who built it. Useful things rarely retire. They simply continue serving as long as careful hands look after them. Farther from the river, where the cultivated land slowly gives way to open desert, stands a small cluster of acacia trees. Their branches twist gently toward the sky. Though smaller than the date palms nearer the village, they offer precious shade during the hottest months. Travelers sometimes rest beneath them while moving between settlements. The trees have listened to countless conversations. Merchants discussing prices. Farmers speaking of the coming flood. Children asking how much farther they must walk. Neighbors sharing simple news from another village. Tonight the trees listen only to the breeze. Their tiny leaves tremble softly whenever the wind passes through. The sound resembles distant rain, though rain is a rare visitor here. Inside the home, one of the older children slowly changes position during sleep. The woven mat rustles quietly beneath him. His dreams carry him through familiar places. Perhaps he walks beside his father through fields of barley ready for harvest. The heads of grain sway gently in warm air. The earth beneath his sandals feels soft after irrigation. He reaches down and lets a few ripe stalks slide through his fingers. Even in dreams, ordinary life remains beautiful. Perhaps tomorrow, when he wakes, he will accompany his father to those same fields. He is old enough now to help in small ways. Not with the heaviest work. There is plenty of time for that. Instead, he may gather loose stalks left behind after cutting. He may carry a light basket. He may watch carefully as older workers show him the proper way to tie bundles. Children here learn through watching long before they are expected to do everything themselves. Knowledge arrives slowly. One season teaches one lesson. The next season adds another. Years pass almost unnoticed. One day a child realizes he now performs tasks that once belonged only to adults. There is no single moment when childhood ends. It simply softens into responsibility. Near the family's doorway hangs a simple bundle of dried herbs tied with linen thread. Some are used in cooking. Others are valued for their pleasant scent. A few may be steeped in warm water when someone feels tired or uncomfortable. The older woman gathered them weeks earlier. She chose only healthy stems. She tied them carefully. Then she hung them where dry air could preserve them. The herbs now fill the room with the faintest earthy fragrance. It blends gently with the scent of clay, reeds, linen, and baked bread. The smell is quiet, comforting, entirely familiar. Outside, a donkey sleeps standing beneath a small shelter. Its ears twitch now and then as insects drift lazily through the cool air. Tomorrow it will patiently carry heavy loads without complaint. Perhaps sacks of grain. Perhaps jars of oil. Perhaps bundles of reeds freshly cut from the riverbank. Its pace will remain steady from morning until evening. The villagers know not to hurry it too much. A tired animal deserves rest just as people do. Good care means many more years of faithful work. The eastern horizon remains dark, though the deepest part of the night has begun to pass. The stars nearest that edge of the sky appear especially clear. Soon, though not yet, they will slowly fade before the first gentle light of dawn. For now they continue shining brightly above the quiet world. A cool breeze drifts once more across the village. It slips between the palm trees. It brushes lightly across the smooth sides of water jars. It circles the little mud brick home before wandering toward the river again. As it passes through the narrow streets, it gathers the faint sense of sleeping life. Fresh straw, dry grain, clay walls, smooth wood, ash from evening fires, the fragrance of dates stored in woven baskets, the sweet smell of figs drying beneath simple coverings. Each home contributes its own gentle note to the night air. Together they create the scent of an ordinary Egyptian village. A scent known by every child born here. The stars continue their slow journey. The moon lowers another small distance toward the horizon. The Nile keeps flowing with patient certainty. The family remains asleep, gathering quiet strength for another day shaped by familiar work, while outside their humble home the desert wind carries the peaceful silence of ancient Egypt across the sleeping fields, through the resting village, and onward beneath the endless canopy of calm and faithful stars. The gentle night continues without interruption. The moon now hangs lower in the western sky, though its light still reaches every corner of the quiet village. It settles softly upon the flat roofs, the narrow lanes, the resting boats, and the patient river that has flowed through this valley for countless generations. Nothing asks to be hurried. The ancient land seems content to move at its own peaceful pace. The wind drifts once again across the open desert before finding its familiar path toward the Nile. Along the way it passes low ridges of sand that have slowly changed their shape through many seasons. Tiny ripples cover their surface like gentle waves frozen in place. Earlier that afternoon, the sun had made the sand almost too warm to touch. Now it feels cool beneath the moonlight. The desert changes its character with remarkable calm. The same ground that challenged travelers during the heat of the day now welcomes the quiet footsteps of small nighttime creatures. A desert hare emerges from the shelter of a low bush. Its ears stand tall as it listens. The village is peaceful. The breeze carries no sign of danger. After a long moment, it hops quietly across the sand, leaving delicate tracks that will almost certainly disappear before another sunset. The wind remembers every track for only a little while. Then it gently smooths the earth again. Closer to the village, rows of date palms stand like silent guardians along the edge of the cultivated land. Their trunks rise straight from the dark soil before opening into broad crowns of graceful leaves. Each palm has witnessed many harvests. Children have grown beneath their shade. Families have gathered fallen dates into woven baskets. Birds have built nests among their fronds each spring. The trees ask for little beyond water, sunlight, and time. In return, they offer fruit, shade, and quiet beauty. Tonight their leaves move with the lightest whisper. Each breeze creates a soft rustling that blends with the distant sound of the Nile. Together they form a peaceful melody that has accompanied this valley for longer than anyone living can remember. Inside the family's home, the room has grown pleasantly cool. The clay walls continue to hold just enough warmth to make the night comfortable. The smooth earthen floor feels cool beneath bare feet, though no one walks upon it now. Near the sleeping mats rests a small wooden bowl. A few grains of barley remain inside from the evening meal. Tomorrow morning those grains may be fed to the family's chickens. Nothing useful is thrown away without thought. Even small things deserve care. Beside the bowl stands a simple clay pitcher. Its curved shape catches a narrow beam of moonlight entering through the small opening near the roof. The light slowly travels across its surface as the moon continues its patient journey. The pitcher itself has become part of the household. Hands reach for it every day. Water fills it. Water empties from it. Then it waits quietly until needed again. No one thinks about it very often. Yet it faithfully serves the family from one season to the next. The father remains asleep. His breathing is deep and steady. Tomorrow his body will once again carry him through long hours of work. He will walk familiar paths across fields bordered by irrigation channels. He will greet neighbors with quiet nods. He will lift, carry, bend, and straighten countless times before evening returns. None of these tasks surprise him. Routine has become its own quiet companion. The older woman sleeps peacefully nearby. Her hands rest gently upon the woven mat. Even in the dim moonlight, the lines on her hands tell their own quiet story. Years of kneading dough. Years of washing linen beside the river. Years of gathering reeds. Years of preparing meals. Years of comforting children after difficult days. Each task left no grand monument. Instead, it left a home where everyone feels cared for. Such work often passes unnoticed. Yet it quietly holds families together. Outside, beyond the last homes of the village, several small fields lie waiting for another sunrise. Barley bends gently whenever the breeze passes across it. Nearby, flax stands tall and slender. Vegetable gardens occupy smaller plots close to the homes where water can be carried more easily. Onions grow in neat rows. Beans climb simple supports made from reeds. Lettuce spreads low across the rich soil. Each garden reflects many careful mornings spent tending young plants. The farmers know every corner of these fields. They notice when leaves change color. They notice when the soil feels too dry. They notice when birds begin searching among the growing grain. Their attention is quiet but constant. Farming is less about grand moments than about countless small observations. A healthy harvest often begins with simple patience. The breeze continues toward the riverbank. The papyrus reeds greet it with their familiar whisper. Tall green stems sway together, leaning toward the water before slowly rising again. Among them, dragonflies rest with folded wings. Though they remain still during the cool hours of night, tomorrow they will dart above the river with remarkable speed, their wings shining beneath the morning sun. For now they sleep. The reeds shelter them gently. Nearby, several ducks float upon a calm stretch of water. Their reflections drift beside them like quiet companions. Occasionally one opens an eye, turns slightly, then settles once more. The river rocks them almost too gently to notice. Along another section of the bank, a fisherman has left several woven fish traps partly submerged near the reeds. He placed them there before sunset. By morning he will return to see what the night has quietly offered. Fishing often rewards patience rather than effort alone. Some days the traps feel surprisingly heavy. Other days they hold very little. The fisherman accepts both outcomes with calm understanding. The river provides according to its own rhythm. Near the center of the village stands a small open space where neighbors often gather during the cooler hours of evening. Children play there while older people sit together on simple stools or low stone benches. Conversations drift easily from one topic to another. Someone may speak about the condition of the canals. Someone else may mention a successful harvest from a nearby field. An older storyteller may quietly remember something learned from his grandfather many years earlier. Stories travel gently through the village. Not because they are written. Because they are shared. One calm evening after another. Tonight the gathering place is empty. The stools remain where they were left. A woven basket leans against a wall. A broom rests quietly beside a doorway. Everything waits patiently for another day. Farther away, in a modest pottery workshop, rows of finished jars stand cooling after their time in the kiln. Their surfaces vary slightly. Some are darker. Some lighter. No two are perfectly alike. The potter would notice these differences immediately. He remembers shaping each vessel with steady hands. He remembers placing them carefully into the heat. He remembers waiting for the kiln to cool before opening it. Patience surrounds every craft in this village. Time itself becomes another tool. The stars continue their slow procession overhead. One constellation slips lower toward the western horizon. Another climbs almost unnoticed above the east. The people sleeping below have trusted these stars for generations. Travelers have followed them across the desert. Boatmen have watched them while guiding vessels along the Nile. Farmers have looked upward after long days in the fields, finding quiet comfort in their familiar arrangement. The stars never seem to hurry. Perhaps that is why they feel so reassuring. Inside the family's home, a tiny breeze enters through the high opening once more. It gently stirs the edge of a folded linen cloth hanging from a wooden peg. The fabric moves only a little before becoming still again. The room returns to complete quiet. Even the embers from the evening fire have long since faded into cool gray ash. The scent of smoke remains only as a faint memory. Tomorrow fresh reeds and small pieces of wood will bring the hearth to life once again. Water will warm. Bread will bake. Voices will slowly replace silence. But not yet. The night still belongs to rest. Beyond the fields, beyond the palms, beyond the quiet river itself, the desert stretches toward distant horizons hidden beneath darkness. Its vast open spaces seem endless beneath the stars. Yet even there, the same gentle wind continues its timeless journey. It crosses lonely dunes. It circles weathered stones. It glides over forgotten paths where travelers walked centuries before. Then, almost without pause, it returns once more to the humble Egyptian home, brushing softly against its mud brick walls as though offering one more quiet lullaby before the first faint promise of dawn begins its slow approach across the ancient land. The ancient night gently continues. The first light of dawn has not yet reached the horizon. The world still belongs to the moon, the stars, and the quiet wind that has wandered faithfully across the desert since long before this little village was built. Everything remains at rest. The silence is not empty. It is filled with small, peaceful sounds that reveal themselves only to those willing to listen without hurry. The Nile flows with its steady voice. Palm leaves answer the breeze with soft rustling. Somewhere among the reeds, a tiny insect moves through the stems before becoming still again. The village itself seems to breathe slowly, as though every home is sharing the same peaceful dream. The little mud brick house stands quietly where it has always stood. Its walls have watched many seasons arrive and quietly pass away. They have welcomed newborn children. They have sheltered tired workers returning beneath the evening sky. They have protected the family during hot afternoons when the desert sun filled every corner of the land with shimmering light. Tonight, the walls simply hold another peaceful night. The doorway remains closed. The wooden beam that secures it rests firmly in place. Its surface has become smooth from years of careful hands lifting it every morning and lowering it again each evening. The beam was carved from a sturdy piece of local wood. Whoever shaped it took time to smooth away rough edges with a simple stone tool. Nothing about it is decorative. Its beauty comes from quiet usefulness. Near the doorway sits a pair of empty baskets. Earlier that day they carried vegetables gathered from the family's small garden. Tomorrow they may hold barley, or onions, or freshly cut reeds from the riverbank. The baskets never know what they will carry next. They simply wait patiently until someone reaches for them. The woven fibers have softened with age. A few strands have been replaced where the originals wore thin. The repairs blend almost perfectly with the older weaving. Strong hands made them. Patient hands. Hands that understood that caring for ordinary things allows them to serve for many more years. Inside, the room feels peaceful and still. The family continues sleeping. The youngest child has rolled closer to his older brother during the night. Without realizing it, one small arm now rests gently across the older boy's shoulder. Neither of them wakes. The closeness feels natural. Children often sleep like this after long days spent together. Tomorrow they will likely wake laughing at something only they understand. They may race toward the river before breakfast. They may compete to see who can carry the lighter water jar. They may gather smooth stones along the riverbank while their mother washes linen nearby. For now, tomorrow exists only inside quiet dreams. The older brother dreams of walking beside his father. The two of them follow a narrow path between green fields. Morning sunlight warms the earth, but the day has not yet become hot. Birds lift themselves from the reeds in sudden graceful flight. His father pauses beside an irrigation canal and kneels to examine the flow of water. Without speaking, the boy kneels beside him. He watches carefully. He notices how his father gently removes a small clump of reeds blocking the narrow channel. Water immediately begins flowing more freely toward the waiting field. The lesson is simple. Sometimes only a small effort is needed to help many growing plants. The dream feels so real that the boy smiles gently in his sleep. Across the room, the older woman breathes deeply. Years have taught her to recognize many different sounds during the night. The cry of a child. The scratching of a mouse searching for grain. The gentle knock of a loose shutter moving with the wind. The distant call of water birds along the Nile. Tonight none of those sounds ask for her attention. The house itself feels content. Its clay walls hold steady. Its roof rests quietly upon sturdy beams. Its floor remains cool beneath the sleeping mats. Outside, the wind drifts slowly toward a nearby storage building where sacks of grain have been carefully arranged after the recent harvest. Each sack represents months of patient labor. Seeds placed into fertile soil. Fields watered through carefully maintained canals. Days spent beneath the warm Egyptian sun. Evenings devoted to tying bundles. Hours separating grain from straw. Long afternoons carrying harvest after harvest into storage. The grain sleeps now as peacefully as the village itself. Its quiet presence promises many future meals. Nearby stands a simple granary raised slightly above the ground. The builders understood that keeping grain dry protected it from moisture and unwanted visitors. Small openings near the top allow fresh air to circulate. The design is practical rather than impressive. Every part serves a purpose. The people who built it likely spoke little while they worked. Each person knew what needed to be done. Mud bricks were carried. Walls slowly rose. Wooden beams found their place. Soon another useful building stood ready to serve the community. Such projects happened often. Not because anyone wished for greatness. Simply because villages grow little by little. One wall. One roof. One season at a time. The breeze leaves the granary and wanders toward the potter's yard. Rows of finished vessels rest quietly beneath the shelter of woven reeds. Some jars are large enough to hold many days' supply of water. Others are meant for grain, oil, or dried beans. Several smaller bowls wait to become part of another family's evening meal. The moonlight gently touches their rounded surfaces. No two are perfectly alike. One leans ever so slightly to one side. Another carries the faint mark of the potter's thumb near its base. These tiny differences are not mistakes. They are reminders that careful hands shaped each vessel one at a time. The potter never rushed. He allowed the clay to guide him. Wet earth responds best to calm hands. It remembers every touch. Beyond the workshop, a narrow footpath follows the riverbank. By day it is alive with movement. Children skip along its edges. Fishermen carry nets across their shoulders. Women balance water jars with remarkable grace. Older villagers pause now and then beneath the shade of palms before continuing their walk. Tonight the path belongs only to moonlight. Its pale glow stretches quietly across the earth. Fresh footprints from yesterday remain undisturbed. Soon morning will bring new ones. The village writes its story into the dust every day. Then the wind gently turns the page. The Nile continues its patient journey. The water reflects thousands of stars. Looking into the river almost feels like looking into another sky. Tiny ripples gently bend each reflection before smoothing them once again. Nothing remains disturbed for very long. The river teaches calm simply by continuing to flow. Near a shallow bend, a group of water birds sleeps among tall reeds. Their long necks are tucked beneath soft feathers. One bird briefly lifts its head. Its dark eyes scan the quiet shoreline. Finding nothing unusual, it settles once more into peaceful rest. The reeds sway gently around them. Every movement is slow, measured, comforting. Farther away, where cultivated land slowly gives way to open desert, the sand seems almost silver beneath the moon. Small dunes cast delicate shadows that stretch toward the east. Tomorrow those same dunes will glow warm gold beneath the rising sun. The landscape changes its colors with remarkable patience. Morning, afternoon, evening, night, then morning again. The cycle never grows tired. The people living here have shaped their lives around that gentle rhythm. They wake with the light. They rest after sunset. They work when the air is cool. They pause when the heat grows strong. Nature quietly leads the day. Back inside the family's home, a folded linen garment hangs from a wooden peg near the wall. It was washed only yesterday beside the Nile. Afterward it dried beneath bright sunshine while a gentle breeze carried away the last traces of moisture. Now it waits quietly for another morning. The fabric feels soft from careful use. Small stitches along one edge reveal where it was lovingly repaired months ago. The thread matches almost perfectly. Only someone looking closely would notice. The family values such careful work. A well-mended garment may serve for many more seasons. Beside the hanging cloth rests a pair of simple wooden sandals belonging to the older woman. Their surfaces have become smooth through years of faithful use. Each scratch carries a quiet memory. A walk to the river. A journey to visit neighbors. A trip to gather herbs beyond the cultivated fields. Countless ordinary days have gently shaped them. The stars continue their silent procession across the heavens. One by one, those nearest the western horizon begin their slow descent. The eastern sky remains dark, though somewhere beyond that distant horizon another day quietly waits. The family does not know exactly when they will awaken. They do not need to. Their bodies have learned the rhythm of the land. Soon enough, the first birds will greet the morning. Soon enough, smoke will rise once more from village hearths. Soon enough, sandals will return to dusty paths. But for now, none of that has arrived. There is only the comforting stillness of this ancient hour. The soft breathing of a sleeping family. The cool scent of the Nile carried upon the breeze. The quiet strength of mud-brick walls. The patient stars above. And the endless whisper of the desert wind, moving gently outside an Egyptian home as another peaceful chapter of the night slips silently toward the waiting dawn. The quiet night gently holds on. It seems almost reluctant to release the land into another day. The darkness is softer now than it was a few hours earlier, though it still covers the village with calm certainty. The moon has lowered farther toward the western hills, and its pale light has become gentler, as though it, too, is preparing for a peaceful rest. The stars remain bright. Some appear to sparkle just above the line of distant palms. Others seem fixed high above the Nile, watching the slow river as it continues its endless journey through the heart of Egypt. No one inside the village notices these small changes. Everyone is still asleep. The little house stands quietly beneath the fading moonlight. Its roof is covered with packed earth that has dried beneath many years of sunlight. Small bits of straw can still be seen among the surface where they were mixed into the clay long ago. Tiny cracks have appeared over the years, but each one has been carefully repaired whenever the season allowed. The family understands that a home, like a garden or a boat, asks for gentle attention. Nothing lasts without care. Nothing remains strong if forgotten. During the hottest afternoons of summer, someone often climbs onto this roof carrying a small basket of fresh clay. The repairs are never hurried. A little water is mixed into the earth. The clay is pressed into each narrow crack. Smooth hands gently level the surface. Then the bright Egyptian sun quietly finishes the work. The roof becomes strong again. Another season passes. Another quiet year begins. Inside the room, the air feels wonderfully still. The cooking hearth rests peacefully in one corner. Beside it lies a small pile of carefully gathered firewood. Not every piece is wood from a tree. Some are dried reeds. Some are bundles of plant stalks saved after harvest. Fuel is gathered patiently throughout the year. Nothing useful is overlooked. Children often help with this task. While walking beside the fields, they collect dry branches that have fallen naturally. Along the riverbank they gather reeds left behind after cutting. Small hands carry light bundles. Older hands carry heavier ones. Each person contributes according to strength. The family sleeps on. The father breathes slowly, his face peaceful in the quiet darkness. The deep lines around his eyes seem softer while he rests. The weight of tomorrow's work has not yet returned to his thoughts. For these few precious hours, he belongs only to sleep. His dreams carry him somewhere familiar. He walks beside the Nile during the cool morning. Mist rises gently above the water. The reeds are covered with tiny drops that catch the first hints of sunlight. He hears the distant splash of fish near the bank. He bends to fill a clay jar. The water is cool against his hands. The dream asks nothing of him. There are no heavy baskets. No long hours beneath the sun. Only the quiet company of the river. Nearby, the youngest child dreams differently. He sits beneath a date palm with several friends. Each child holds a little toy boat woven from papyrus. They kneel together at the edge of a shallow pool left behind after the river's flood. One by one they place their tiny boats upon the water. The little vessels drift slowly away. The children watch without speaking very much. There is no race. No competition. only the simple joy of seeing the water carry something made by their own hands. The boats eventually disappear among the reeds. The children laugh softly and begin weaving another. The dream moves as slowly as the river itself. Outside, the breeze turns gently toward the village gardens. These small plots lie close to the homes where families can easily care for them each day. The soil is darker here than the surrounding desert. It has been enriched by many seasons of careful cultivation. Rows of onions stretch neatly across one corner. Nearby grow lentils, lettuce, and herbs whose pleasant scents fill the air whenever their leaves are gently brushed. Nothing in the garden grows by chance. Every plant has been placed with quiet thought. Every space has a purpose. The gardener knows where morning shade lingers longest. He knows where water reaches first after the irrigation channels are opened. He notices when a leaf curls from too much heat. He notices when the soil becomes dry enough to need another careful watering. These observations happen almost without thinking. Years of tending the same ground have taught his eyes exactly what to look for. The wind crosses one narrow irrigation ditch. Its water flows so slowly that it almost seems still. The smooth banks have been shaped by countless hands. After every flood, small repairs become necessary. Fresh mud is pressed into weak places. Loose stones are returned to their proper positions. Grass is cleared away so water may pass freely. The canal is never truly finished. It is simply cared for, season after season. The people understand that many important things in life are like this. A home. A garden. A friendship. A fishing net. Each becomes stronger through quiet attention. The moonlight reaches a small courtyard between two neighboring homes. There stands a low wooden table. Earlier in the evening several families shared a simple meal there. Flat loaves of bread rested upon woven mats. Clay bowls held lentils seasoned with herbs. Fresh onions were passed from one hand to another. A few ripe figs were divided carefully so everyone received a piece. The conversation was gentle. Children spoke a little louder than the adults. An old grandmother smiled as she watched them. Eventually the bowls were washed. The table was wiped clean. The chairs were returned inside. Only the memory of warm voices remains. The courtyard now belongs to silence. Beyond the homes, the potter's kiln has become completely cool. Its bricks still carry the faint scent of smoke baked deep into the clay. Inside, yesterday's vessels wait patiently to begin their quiet service in kitchens, workshops, and storage rooms throughout the village. One jar may soon hold olive oil. Another will keep grain safe from insects. A smaller bowl may cradle fresh dates during an evening meal. The potter never knows exactly where his work will travel. He simply shapes each vessel with equal care. Useful things have their own journeys. Near the river, a fisherman sleeps beneath a light linen covering beside his boat. He chose to remain close to the water tonight. The cool breeze drifting across the Nile makes his rest especially comfortable. His nets have been folded neatly. One small tier was repaired before sunset. His fingers moved confidently through the familiar knots. He did not need to count them. His hands remembered the pattern long before his thoughts did. Tomorrow, before the eastern sky brightens, he will quietly untie his boat. The oars will dip gently into dark water. Each stroke will send soft ripples across the river. He has made that journey so many mornings that it feels almost like another form of breathing. The river knows him. He knows the river. Their friendship has grown over many years. Not through words. Through shared mornings. Through patient waiting. Through quiet trust. Back at the family's home, the breeze enters through the small opening near the roof once more. It stirs a few loose strands of flax hanging from a peg. Soon they will be spun into thread. After that, they will become linen. The transformation will take many careful hours. One pair of hands will prepare the fibers. Another will spin them. Another will weave them upon a loom. Perhaps someone else will sew the finished cloth into a simple garment. Every object carries many invisible stories. A basket remembers the reeds from which it was woven. Bread remembers the grain that once swayed in the fields. A linen robe remembers the flax that grew beside an irrigation channel. Nothing appears suddenly. Everything arrives through patience. The eastern horizon remains dark, yet the air has changed almost imperceptibly. It feels fresher now. Cooler. The deepest part of the night is gently giving way to the quiet hours that come before dawn. The stars continue shining with remarkable clarity. Soon they will slowly retreat before the morning light. But not yet. For a little while longer, they remain faithful companions above the sleeping village. The desert wind circles once again around the humble Egyptian home, brushing softly against its ancient walls before wandering toward the river, carrying with it the peaceful breath of another forgotten night while every family continues resting safely beneath the endless and comforting sky. The night has become wonderfully still. It is the kind of stillness that arrives only after many quiet hours have passed. The bustle of the previous day has faded completely, and the work of the coming morning has not yet begun. Between those two moments rests a peaceful space that belongs only to the sleeping land. The village remains wrapped in that calm. The moon hangs low above the western horizon now, its light softer than before. It no longer shines directly into the narrow streets. Instead, it paints the tops of walls, the edges of rooftops, and the quiet surface of the Nile with a pale silver glow. The desert wind has grown gentler. It no longer carries as much sand from the open dunes. Instead, it brings the cool freshness of the river, moving slowly through the village as though it does not wish to wake anyone. It passes over the roof of the family's home. The packed earth feels cool beneath the night air. Small pieces of straw remain woven into the clay, just as they did on the day the roof was first completed. Time has changed many things, but careful hands have always returned to repair the little places where rain, wind, or years of sunshine slowly wore the surface away. Nothing here is forgotten. Every season brings small tasks. Every season offers another opportunity to care for what already exists. Inside the house, the silence feels warm and comforting. The sleeping mats lie close together across the smooth earthen floor. The woven reeds have become softer over many years of use. Their faint scent blends with the smell of clay walls, dried herbs, and the cool water resting inside nearby jars. A clay water jar stands beside the doorway. Tiny droplets have gathered along its outer surface where the coolness inside meets the warmer air of the room. When morning comes, someone will lift the lid and pour fresh water into simple cups before the day's work begins. The first drink of the morning is always welcome, especially after the warmth of the long Egyptian days. Beside the jar rests a small wooden ladle. Its handle has darkened where countless hands have held it. Children have learned to use it carefully. Older family members have reached for it every morning without needing to think. Simple objects become trusted companions when they quietly serve a family year after year. The father remains asleep. His breathing rises and falls with calm steadiness. His dreams have changed once again. Now he walks through a field just after the annual flood has begun to withdraw. The earth beneath his feet feels soft. Fresh silt covers the ground like a rich dark blanket. He kneels and lets a handful of soil slip slowly through his fingers. It feels cool, smooth, full of promise. Nearby, neighbors work quietly together, preparing the fields for another season of planting. No one rushes. No one raises a loud voice. The work moves at the same peaceful pace as the river itself. In the dream, even labor feels calm. The older woman dreams of her younger years. She is standing beside her own mother near the riverbank. The morning sun has only just begun to warm the air. They wash linen together in the clear water. Their hands move slowly. They speak only now and then. Most of the morning passes in comfortable silence. The sound of flowing water fills every quiet moment between their words. She remembers the feeling of wet cloth against her hands. The coolness of the river. The warmth of the sunlight upon her shoulders. Dreams often gather memories that have rested quietly inside the heart for many years. Outside, the breeze continues toward the edge of the village where several donkeys sleep beneath a simple shelter made from wooden posts and palm branches. One animal shifts its weight gently. Its ears move toward the sound of the wind. Finding nothing unusual, it lowers its head once more. Tomorrow it will carry heavy loads with patient determination. It may walk to neighboring villages. It may transport bundles of reeds from the river. It may help bring harvests home from distant fields. Its work is steady. Its pace unchanging. The villagers value such quiet reliability. Nearby, a pair of goats sleeps close together. One young kid rests against its mother. Even the animals seem to understand the comfort of staying near those they trust. The breeze passes gently over them without causing the slightest disturbance. Beyond the animal shelter, the cultivated fields stretch toward the Nile. The barley heads sway ever so slightly whenever the wind reaches them. The movement is almost impossible to notice unless someone watches very carefully. Each stalk has grown little by little through many weeks of patient care. Morning after morning, the farmers walk these rows. They checked the moisture of the soil. They watched for signs of insects. They adjusted the flow of water through the irrigation channels. Every visit lasted only a short while. Yet together, those countless small moments allowed the fields to flourish. Nothing in agriculture happens all at once. Everything grows through quiet consistency. The breeze reaches one of the irrigation canals. Its banks are lined with smooth mud pressed firmly into place by careful feet. The water moves slowly through the narrow passage. A few floating leaves drift lazily with the current. The canal reflects both the moon and the stars, creating a second sky beneath the first. If someone were standing there now, it might be difficult to tell where the heavens ended and the water began. Farther along the canal stands a simple wooden gate used to guide water toward different fields. The gate has been lifted and lowered countless times. Its edges have become smooth from years of handling. When the growing season arrives, farmers gather here before sunrise. Together they decide which plots need water first. Their conversations are practical, gentle, respectful. They understand that sharing the river wisely allows every family to prosper. Cooperation has always been as important as the water itself. Near the riverbank, several woven baskets rest upside down upon wooden poles. The fishermen place them there after cleaning the day's catch. Turning the baskets upside down allows the night air to keep them dry. Tiny droplets of dew begin forming along the woven reeds. By sunrise those droplets will sparkle briefly before disappearing into the warmth of the new day. The baskets wait patiently. Tomorrow they will carry fish once more. The Nile itself seems almost sleepy. Its surface remains calm. Only the slow current reminds anyone that the river never truly rests. Somewhere beneath the water, fish continue their silent journeys. Turtles settle quietly among river plants. Small schools of silverfish drift through the cool darkness together. Life beneath the surface follows its own peaceful rhythm. Along the shoreline, papyrus reeds bend gently. Their tall green stems cast long reflections across the water. A heron stands perfectly still nearby. Its long legs disappear beneath the shallow water. For several quiet moments it does not move at all. Patience belongs naturally to the bird. Eventually, with remarkable grace, it takes one careful step forward. Then another. Then it becomes still once again. Nothing about its movements feels hurried. Back inside the family's home, a folded fishing net rests upon a low wooden shelf. The family does not fish every day, but sometimes the father joins neighbors along the river when field work allows. The net has been repaired many times. Small knots mark places where broken strands were patiently replaced. Each repair tells the story of another afternoon spent sitting in the shade after work, carefully preparing for the next journey onto the water. Nearby hangs a bundle of freshly braided rope. The fibers still smell faintly of the plants from which they were made. Soon the rope will help secure loads, fasten baskets, or tie boats safely along the riverbank. Useful things are always waiting quietly for the moment they are needed. The stars continue their graceful movement overhead. The eastern horizon remains dark, though its darkness has become softer than before. Morning is still some distance away. There is no reason for anyone to wake just yet. The family sleeps peacefully together. The village remains wrapped in gentle silence. The Nile continues its endless journey northward. And outside the humble Egyptian home, the cool desert wind whispers through the date palms and across the quiet fields, carrying another calm hour through the ancient land while the stars patiently keep watch above. The peaceful hours before dawn continue to unfold with quiet grace. The night has become so calm that it almost feels suspended, as though the whole valley is resting inside a long, gentle breath. The moon has nearly reached the edge of the western horizon, where distant hills soften into pale silhouettes beneath its fading light. The stars still fill the heavens. Some shine brightly overhead. Others rest low above the eastern horizon, patiently waiting for the first hint of morning that has not yet appeared. The little village remains asleep. Every doorway is closed. Every courtyard is empty. Every workshop waits in complete silence. Only the wind continues its endless journey. It leaves the open desert and crosses the fields where barley stands quietly beneath the stars. Each slender stalk carries a tiny bead of moisture gathered during the cool hours of the night. The droplets are so small that they can only be seen when moonlight touches them at just the right angle. For a brief moment they sparkle. Then the breeze gently shakes the stalks, and the droplets slip silently into the waiting soil below. Nothing is wasted. Even the smallest gift of moisture is welcomed by the earth. The wind moves on. It reaches a narrow footbridge built from rough wooden beams laid across one of the irrigation channels. The bridge is simple. 2 strong supports. Several carefully fitted planks. No decoration. No carving. Only practical craftsmanship. Every morning farmers cross this bridge carrying hoes over their shoulders. Children skip across it on their way to gather water. Donkeys step carefully over the boards while transporting baskets of grain or bundles of flax. The bridge has carried thousands of quiet journeys. Tonight it carries only moonlight. Its weathered wood creaks softly as the cool air settles around it. No footsteps interrupt its rest. Nearby, several reeds lean gently over the water. The canal flows with patient determination. It never rushes. Its task is too important for haste. It simply continues carrying life toward the waiting fields. The people who built these waterways understood that water prefers calm paths. Sharp turns slow its movement. Carefully shaped banks guide it naturally. Working with the land rather than against it has always been one of the quiet lessons of this valley. The canal reflects the stars almost perfectly. Every so often a tiny fish disturbs the surface. The reflection bends. A small circle spreads outward. Within moments, everything becomes smooth once more. The night quickly restores its peaceful stillness. Farther along the riverbank stands a cluster of sycamore fig trees. Their broad branches spread generously above the earth. During the hottest afternoons they offer welcome shade to anyone passing nearby. Farmers rest there while eating simple meals. Travelers pause for a drink of water. Children gather fallen leaves for games. Older villagers sometimes sit quietly beneath the branches, enjoying the cooler air drifting from the Nile. Tonight the trees shelter only sleeping birds. Tiny shapes rest among the leaves with feathers fluffed against the coolness before dawn. One bird opens its eyes briefly. It tilts its head toward the breeze. Then, satisfied that everything remains peaceful, it closes its eyes once more. The branches sway so gently that they seem almost motionless. Inside the family's home, the silence remains complete. The older boy has turned onto his back during the night. One arm now rests above his head. His breathing is slow and even. Tomorrow he hopes to accompany his father farther into the fields than before. He has been asking for many weeks. He wants to learn how to guide water through the irrigation channels. He wants to understand how to judge whether the soil is ready for planting. His father has smiled quietly each time. There is no need to hurry. Each lesson comes when its proper season arrives. Soon enough, the boy will know these things. For now, there is still value in watching. Watching teaches patience. Watching teaches careful attention. Watching teaches respect for work done well. His father learned the same way many years ago. Standing beside his own father. Listening more than speaking. Observing every small movement. The proper way to hold a tool. The right moment to begin planting. The quiet satisfaction of completing an ordinary task with care. Knowledge flows through families almost like the Nile itself. Steady. Reliable. Never hurried. Near the sleeping mats rests a low wooden box. Inside are several smooth stones collected by the children during walks along the river. None of the stones is especially rare. One is perfectly round. Another shines slightly when wet. A third carries thin white lines across its surface. To anyone else they are simply stones. To the children they are treasured discoveries. Perhaps one reminds them of a happy afternoon beside the river. Perhaps another was found during a walk with their grandfather. Simple objects often become precious because of the memories they quietly carry. Beside the wooden box hangs a woven bag containing sewing needles made from polished bone. A small spool of carefully spun flax thread rests beside them. Whenever a garment begins to wear thin, the older woman sits near the doorway where daylight is strongest. Her fingers move patiently through the fabric. One stitch. Then another. Then another. The work is unhurried. Strong stitching takes time. A carefully repaired robe may serve for many more years. The family understands this well. Nothing useful is discarded simply because it has grown old. Age often brings familiarity. And familiarity brings comfort. Outside, the breeze reaches the village pottery yard once more. Large storage jars stand in neat rows beneath an open shelter. Their rounded shapes cast long shadows across the packed earth. Each jar was shaped slowly upon a turning wheel. The potter's hands guided wet clay upward with remarkable gentleness. Too much pressure would have caused the walls to collapse. Too little would have left them too thick. The balance required quiet concentration. Years of experience taught his hands exactly how much force to use. Even now, while he sleeps peacefully in his own home, those finished vessels continue waiting to become part of daily life throughout the village. Some will store grain. Some will hold fresh water. Others will protect olive oil from the heat. Useful objects quietly become part of countless ordinary moments. Farther beyond the workshops, the desert begins again. The cultivated fields simply end. The rich dark soil gives way to pale sands stretching toward distant horizons. The change happens gradually. A few scattered grasses. A lonely shrub. Then open earth shaped only by wind. The desert appears empty at first glance. Yet even here life continues. A tiny lizard sleeps beneath a flat stone still holding a little warmth from yesterday. Several insects remain hidden beneath the sand until cooler evening returns again. Seeds wait patiently beneath the surface for the rare gift of rain. The land never truly sleeps. It simply grows quieter. The wind crosses a low dune. Its crest has changed ever so slightly since sunset. A few handfuls of sand have shifted from one side to the other. No one will notice. The changes are too small. Yet night after night, season after season, the landscape slowly reshapes itself. The desert is always moving. Only very patiently. Back at the family's home, the cool air enters through the small opening near the roof once again. It carries the faint scent of damp riverbanks and flowering herbs growing near the garden. The fragrance is delicate. Almost impossible to describe. It belongs only to this place. Only to this season. Only to these quiet hours before dawn. The youngest child sighs softly in his sleep. His small hand closes gently around the edge of his linen covering. Then he becomes perfectly still again. His dreams remain peaceful. Perhaps he is once again watching tiny papyrus boats drift across calm water. Perhaps he is gathering smooth shells beside the river with his sister. Perhaps he simply dreams of sitting beneath the shade of a palm tree while warm bread cools nearby after leaving the oven. Children often find wonder in the simplest moments. The stars continue their slow journey overhead. The eastern horizon has become just a little softer than before, though darkness still comfortably fills the land. Morning has not yet arrived. The village remains wrapped in gentle silence. The Nile flows with quiet certainty. The palm leaves whisper softly whenever the breeze passes through them. And outside the humble Egyptian home, the desert wind continues its timeless wandering, carrying the cool breath of another forgotten night across the sleeping fields and along the peaceful river, where the ancient world rests undisturbed beneath the endless canopy of stars. At last, the long and gentle night has almost completed its quiet journey. The moon has slipped close to the western horizon, where its soft light slowly fades into the pale colors waiting beyond the edge of the world. One by one, the brightest stars begin to disappear, not because they have gone away, but because another peaceful morning is patiently preparing to arrive. The village still rests. For one final, precious moment, no footsteps cross the dusty lanes. No voices rise from the courtyards. No bread has yet been placed upon the warm baking stones. The fishing boats remain tied along the calm shore. The fields wait in complete silence for the first touch of daylight. The little mudbrick home stands exactly as it has through countless nights before this one. Its walls have quietly sheltered laughter and tears, busy mornings and peaceful evenings, seasons of plenty and seasons of careful saving. They have listened to the whispers of children, the gentle conversations of tired parents, and the comforting silence that follows a long day of honest work. Inside, the family sleeps peacefully together. For a few more quiet breaths, tomorrow does not yet ask anything of them. The baskets can wait. The fields can wait. The river can wait. Even the sun, still hidden beyond the eastern horizon, seems willing to give them one last moment of perfect rest. Outside, the Nile continues its timeless journey. Its waters glide silently beneath the fading stars, just as they did yesterday, just as they will tomorrow, and just as they have done for thousands upon thousands of years. The river remembers every season. It remembers the first green shoots pushing through dark soil after the flood. It remembers the laughter of children playing at its edge. It remembers fishermen greeting the quiet dawn and farmers returning home beneath the golden evening sky. Yet it keeps none of these moments for itself. It simply carries them gently onward, one peaceful day flowing into the next. The desert wind returns one final time to the little house. It brushes softly against the sun-baked walls. It stirs the leaves of the nearby date palms. It slips through the reeds beside the river, where the last echoes of the night linger for just a little longer. Its whisper is as gentle now as it was when our journey first began. It carries no hurry. No worry. Only calm. Only stillness. Only the quiet comfort of an ancient world resting beneath a wide and faithful sky. Soon, somewhere beyond the horizon, the first birds will begin their morning songs. A cooking fire will be lit. Water will be drawn from cool clay jars. Fresh bread will fill the air with its familiar warmth. Children will wake with sleepy smiles. Workers will step onto dusty paths that generations before them have walked. Life will continue as it always has, through simple routines, steady hands, shared meals, and quiet kindness. But those moments belong to another day. For now, we leave ancient Egypt exactly as we found it. Peaceful. Gentle. Unhurried. A place where the warm desert wind still moves softly outside a humble home. Where the Nile flows with endless patience beneath the morning sky. Where ordinary lives, though long forgotten by history, continue to remind us that comfort is often found in simple things: a shared loaf of bread, a cool drink of water, the shade of a palm tree, the steady rhythm of familiar work, and the quiet feeling of returning home at the end of the day. As the last stars quietly fade, the village remains wrapped in a calm that seems older than memory itself. The river continues its silent song. The palms sway with the gentlest breeze. The desert stretches peacefully beyond the fields, glowing softly beneath the first hint of approaching dawn. And somewhere, just beyond hearing, the ancient wind carries one final whisper across the sleeping land before disappearing into the endless horizon. May your own thoughts now drift as gently as the Nile. May your breathing become as calm as the quiet river beneath the stars. May your mind rest as peacefully as the little mud-brick home beneath the fading moon. And as the ancient world slowly melts into silence, may the comforting stillness of this forgotten night carry you softly, peacefully, and effortlessly into a deep and restful sleep.